Hello, welcome back. So today we're going to be playing some Alliance Scum. uh, no, I like Alliance and Horde. I used to be way pro Horde, but I realized there's benefits on both sides, and it's a more robust game if you play both sides because there's a lot of stuff you wouldn't have seen before. For instance, in BFA, the Alliance home place, as you can see here, is Borealis, and it's so much better than Zul'Zar. Everything is so much closer. And I'm a flying cat. Hooray for loads. Um, Everything is so much closer. All the shops, everything. You don't have to fly down to some weird place and take. I mean, one of the main reasons I wanted flying was just because of Zul'Jazar on the Horde side. But, anyways, I digress. Today we're going to be looking at the Restoration Shaman or Druid. Um, I've been healing on my Druid since more or less day one. Um, I started playing about 3 months after WoW was released. Uh, so not alpha or beta or anything, but like I said, 3 months after release. So I've been playing for a long time. I
Hero,
haven't.
your timing couldn't be better. Mechatork is fading fast.
What? No, I don't care about Mechatork. I hope he dies. Um, anyways, I haven't always healed on the Druid. I have experimented over the years. I've gone Boomkin for an entire. I think all of Legion I was Boomkin. Um, Most of BFA I was actually Feral. I went Kitty for PvP and whatnot. I back there in the Burning Crusade I was a tank. I was a bird tank. But I usually always return to my roots by the end of the expansion or several times during, which is healing, which is what I did from the beginning. I was a Resto Druid when I first started playing WoW. I leveled 1 to 60 as a Resto Druid, swinging a two-handed mace because I didn't realize I could just shift into cat form. I thought I had to be feral and whatnot to really utilize that. So, yep, I was a Restoration Druid swinging a two-handed mace for 60 levels in original WoW. Yeah, try to process that one. Alright, we're going to check something real quick. We're going to move this here. Yes, cool. Uh, I got my screen selection shifted around, so now when I do Icy Veins, you can actually watch. So we'll just do this. So we're on the Restoration Druid. We're going to look at builds and talents. I've already gone over mine. Let's compare here. There we go. Oh man, that's such a good cinematic. So here they recommend Abundance or Cenarian Ward, which actually really kind of bums me out. I missed Nourish. We used to have Druids are famous for their hots. We have tons of hots. We can cast them on the move. They heal over time. That's the definition of a hot. Um, but they didn't have any real direct heal. I just need to do a Baal cast and pump a heal into somebody. Um, I mean, we don't have that anymore, but we used to. I think it was called Healing Touch. I actually don't fully remember what it was called, but it was nice to at least have that option. If I wanted to stand still and cast a big heal into somebody, I could. They realized that the first part of regrowth is that it is a castable heal and it puts a hot, and so they just kind of focused a lot of resources into uh, that. So heals a friendly target for 1120, which is a decent amount, and regrowth has a lot of synergy with crit. It benefits from it more than other spells and whatnot. I don't know the full details. I'm not going to get into it, but it crits more often than not. I think it might be because of a talent that we have. Anyways, but once they realized that, they took away our healing touch, which I used to always famously have on my 2 button. So I now just have pots. I don't have that 2 button that I can just pump heals into. Then they gave us back that heal. It wasn't healing touch, it was called Nourish. I was so happy to have Nourish. It wasn't the most powerful spell, I didn't use it all the time, but it was nice to have the option. And then they took it away again and were like, nope, druids are just a hot class. Pure hots. Alright, fine. Well, congratulations, Nourish is back. And it kinda sucks. Unfortunately. It doesn't fully suck. I mean, it's not a bad talent. But compared to the other two, yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, they recommend Abundance or Cenarion Ward. Abundance is, I feel, a lot more raid-based, not Mythic Plus. Free Rejuvenation you have active, regrowth cost is reduced by 6%, and critical effect chance is increased by 6%. So if you have a lot of rejuvenations out, so if you're in a raid and you're just popping those out, making sure everybody's topped up and spot healed and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you want to do a regrowth, because of abundance, your regrowth is just going to hit like a truck. But if you're doing mythics, you've got 5 people. I mean, it can still be decent. But Cenarion Ward's going to take the cake on that one. Not only that, but I've gotten very used to using Cenarion Ward. I always take it if I can. I really do enjoy it. It's a really good oh crap button. Somebody's taking a lot of damage, or the tank's about to hit a phase where I know he's going to get slammed. I can pop Cenarion Ward on them and know that they're going to be more or less kind of okay while I try to pump other heals into other people, or I try to set up a bigger heal or do something. Second tree is second row is a utility row. There is a heal renewal that heals yourself, but I am a healer. I've got more than enough tools to heal myself, even in an emergency. I don't need another one, even though technically there is no mana cost, so that's kind of nice. Wild Charge is extremely powerful. Because as a druid, you should be shapeshifting constantly. If you're taking a lot of damage, or if you need to tank a mob real quick for one reason or another, you can shift into bear form, and you've got a charge. You can shift into your caster form and fly to an ally's position, so you can completely, I need to get over to that guy. Boom, you can. You can now shift into, that's not even listed. I was going to say you can shift into Boomkin form if you take the balance affinity. Interesting. Boomkin form with Wild Charge always made you leap backwards. Huh. It's not on there anymore. I wonder if they removed it. Anyways, aquatic form. Boom. Swim faster. That's nice. Out in the open world and whatnot. Child form. You can leap forward. Cat form, which a lot of people take feral affinity, and so you can leap behind your target and helps you DPS. Anyways, it's a massively awesome movement tool. That being said, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a bit of skill. You're going to be shifting all over the place to get the appropriate movement that you want, and I just don't want to deal with it. that's the long and short of it. So I take Tiger Dash. 45-second cooldown, not too bad. Shift and cat form increase your movement speed by 200%. Reduced it gradually over 5 seconds. Yeah, gradually over 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a short time, so it reduces pretty fast. But it's an extremely powerful sprint. Short-lived sprint, but yeah. I need to get over here real quick. You know what I mean? I need to get out of something. I need to get to someone. I need to, whatever I need to do, that will facilitate. I enjoy it. I like it. Do it. She will. The next row is a bit complicated. It didn't used to be. On a side tangent, healers in general used to just be healers. We used to just heal. That's what we did. We stood in the back, we healed. We had a little bit of utility here and there. Maybe we'd throw out a couple DPS spells if we were feeling cheeky, but for the most part, we just healed. That's our position. Um, that is still your position up to, I would say, a +9, +10. But once you start getting past +10, your DPS slowly starts becoming more and more important. Once you get up to a +15 to +20, you better be DPSing. You better be doing a good chunk of the DPS. You're not going to be at the top. You're not even going to be top 4. The tank's probably going to beat you. But like right here, you can see my last run. I did almost no damage because I'm the healer. I shouldn't have to. But in the higher keys, you want to be about here-ish. You want to be last, but not by much. If you can get more than last, that's good for you, bad for somebody else. But you understand my point. They made a lot larger focus on healer DPS, and that's bothered me because we've got enough going on, filling our role of healing, and now you're telling me I also have to fill a role of a DPS? Like, that's what we brought 3 DPS for. Why can't they handle it enough? They did the same thing to tanks. Tanks used to just hold aggro, be a tank, take the hits. That was your job. But now, especially with progression raids and high mythics and whatnot, the tank also has to bring a certain amount of DPS, and it's actually important now. Which I guess gave the game a bit more complexity and a bit more depth. But overall, I do not enjoy it. If I'm if I want a DPS, I'll play a DPS. Tank should tank, healer should heal. That's how I feel, but it's just my opinion. Anyways, I apologize. That was a bit of a backstory to explain the next row. The next row, you used to always go Guardian Affinity. Reduces all damage taken by 6%. Perfect. You're a healer, you're in the back, and you're taking less damage. Wonderful. It also gives you bear abilities. You don't care. You're not shifting into bear. You're not bearing it up. But the reduced damage is nice. The affinities always gave you abilities for that shapeshift form. But what did you care? You weren't trying to pop into cat form and do DPS. You weren't trying to pop into balance form and do DPS. You didn't have to. You do now. So this row has actually become fairly important, which honestly is a little annoying. That being said, also, if you weren't doing hard progression raids or really high mythic keys, a lot of times I would actually go Feral Affinity for the movement speed, because that was nice. But if I knew there's going to be damage, I'll take the reduced damage, because I can move myself around with my sprints, whatever. Never went Balance Affinity. There was no reason. Increases the range of all your abilities by 5 yards. The range of my abilities are just fine. I'm just healing people. Okay, you need to stop it. Stop growling at me. So, like I said, this is actually an important row now. Now, you never go Guardian Affinity. Now, the choices are Balance or Feral. Which one are you more comfortable doing damage as? Also, Feral is the higher damage, in case you're wondering. Cat form as a Resto Druid is the higher damage. You can actually do some pretty dumb damage. It's a little annoying. But one of the changes they made recently that makes Balance Affinity still attractive is that they gave them Typhoon. Typhoon is no longer a talent choice that you can have. If you want Typhoon, which is actually pretty important for higher mythic keys, to help tanks kite and interrupt gas and do some crazy things, you have to go Balance for that Typhoon. So, I have everything actually set up to go Feral. I have my dot weak auras, or my combo point weak auras, my rip and rake weak auras, and everything set up in my resto, so if I want to go, so I can go into cat form. That being said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to go Balance. And, oh yeah, You know what? Yes, I know. I gotta be in the rested area. Happy? So I'm going to go balance affinity, and I'm not going to put you through the 20 30 minutes of the weakauras that I'm going to design for it. I will show you a highlight, and I will do it myself off camera. The next row, I believe they suggest, yeah. They suggest Heart of the Wild. So Heart of the Wild abilities associated with your chosen affinity are subsequently empowered for 45 seconds. I haven't actually played with this since the patch. I did a quick spec, and then I haven't played with it. Balance damage of your balance abilities increased by 30%, and Star Surge is instant. It's a DPS cooldown. On a 5-minute cooldown? I mean, it's powerful, but a 5, wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to find somewhere to put that. Mighty Bash invokes Spirit of Ursox to stun the target for 4 seconds, usable in all shapeshift forms. It's a stun, which is nice because we don't have an interrupt as a healer. Most healers don't. So that's sort of a interrupt. It doesn't work on bosses, obviously, but it does work on mobs, and it can come in handy. But you also have to be in melee range, so if you're tanking balanced affinity, Mighty Bash becomes a lot less useful. Mass Entanglement. Root target all enemies in 15 yards in place for 30 seconds. Damage may interrupt the effect. It's a mass root. Again, situational. Can be very powerful, but usually not. And also, a lot of other classes have AoE slows, AoE roots. A lot of other classes can take care of things like that. So really your choices are Mighty Bash or Heart of the Wild. And like I said, Mighty Bash, it's a 1-minute cooldown, and you have to be in melee range. And again, other classes have stuns, interrupts, and whatnot. So you can see how it keeps boiling down and pushes you towards Heart of the Wild. So once again, you can be a big DPS to help everybody, even though you're a healer. So during that burn phase and the kill the boss, kill the boss, kill the boss, you can pop Heart of the Wild and start pumping out some serious damage. And with a 5-minute cooldown, that really is what it's for. It's for the bosses. You're not going to be using this on trash and whatnot unless you absolutely have to, in like a plus 30 or God save you. But yeah, you're going to use that on bosses. So that's what we'll do. We'll find a place for it. The next row, they recommend Soul of the Forest or Incarnation. Cultivation. When Rejuvenation heals a target below 6% health, it applies Cultivation to the target. Actually, did I recommend all 3? No, yeah, that's right. Cultivation actually used to be pretty powerful. I think it's what I actually used to take, but I don't remember what it was on the row with. I liked Cultivation, because it was passive. I like passive abilities. Things I don't have to worry about. Which is kind of why I've taken Soul of the Forest, because Incarnation, Tree of Life, it's a very powerful cooldown. Shapeshift into the Tree of Life, increasing healing down by 15%. Awesome. Increasing armor by 120%. Survivability, I guess. That's nice. And granting protection from poly. Yeah, that's because you're shapeshifted. Last 30 seconds. You may wait. That's not all it does now, is it? Usually, when you used to do Incarnation, let's find out. It would actually change your spells. Tree of Life, yeah, healing increased by 50%, mana cost reduced by 30. Tree of Life, regrowth is instant cast. Affects 2 additional targets. Yeah, so you hit Tree of Life, and all of a sudden you can just pump out serious healing. It is a massively powerful cooldown. That being said, you know what? I might like it now. I'll give it a shot at some point. In the past, what I didn't like about it was because it was technically a shapeshift, it would actually change your bar. So, like, if you watch when I shapeshift into cat, it changes my bar to a different bar. When I shapeshift into bear, same thing. And cast form, same thing. Tree of Life was the same thing. It would activate the Tree of Life shapeshift bar, which was very annoying because you didn't. It wasn't any different from your normal healing bar. You were still going to use the exact same spells, but because it was a different bar, you needed to set up an entirely different bar. Not only that, but you had to do it while you were in Tree of Life. And so you had to activate this thing that only lasted, for 30 seconds. You'd activate Tree of Life and then try to set up your bar. It would save it. You only had to do it once. You could do it in town and stuff. But it was still annoyed me. And then if you decided, you're in the dungeon, you're doing something, and you're like, oh, you know what? I forgot to put something on my bar. And, now you're like, oh, well, now that's not on the Tree of Life bar. Dang it. Always bothered me. Always bothered me. But doesn't do that anymore. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. I have Innervate here as my first little cooldown, but I mean Innervate's not really a cooldown. It just helps me with my mana. I can put that somewhere else. Oh, I'm telling you guys, so many buttons now. So many buttons. Anyways, I've been using Soul of the Force. Swiftman increases the healing of your next regrowth or rejuvenation by 200%, or your next wild growth by 75%. I've been liking that because usually when I'm using Swiftman is a semi-emergency. It's only a 15-second cooldown, but it is very powerful. It does a lot of healing. So if I'm hitting somebody with Swiftman, it means, oh, I really need to heal that person right now. And then Swiftman empowers my next heal, more or less. So it was really nice because I was already in that semi-panic phase. So Swiftman and then a really powerful heal, and it was like, oh, cool. Okay, I feel good. Tree of Life is more everything, all crap has hit the fan, and I need an emergency for quite some time. Everybody's going to die if I don't do something. I don't feel like I hit that very often on the Druid. Honestly, I rarely hit that point where everybody's at 10% health and everything is going to crap. If we've hit that point, something has gone terribly wrong. Because for the most part, especially with HOTS, not direct healing, I've got everybody's life is ticking up anyways. So I've got most people at full health. If somebody takes a big old hit all of a sudden, boom, I can Swiftman them. Or I can do this, or I can do that. But for the most part, I'm keeping everybody kind of high. So that's why I prefer Soul of the Force, and I really do enjoy it. And we can switch back now. Drop that off. This row, Spring Blossoms is just the end-all be-all. Overgrowth is kind of a cool spell. Applies Life Bloom, Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, and Regrowth heal over time effect to an ally. It basically puts everything on them. So it's cool. It's a cool spell, but it's not very efficient. I can put all that stuff on a person pretty dang fast. Let's see. Life Bloom, Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, and Regrowth. So boom. That took me, what, 4 seconds? It's cool, but it's not efficient. It saves me 3 seconds because you gotta waste the 1 global cooldown to cast it anyways. And it's on a minute cooldown. And it's just all your HOTS, so it's not like it's gonna immediately save someone. You're not gonna pop and all of a sudden their life's gonna go, from almost dead to full. It's just gonna put all your HOTS on them. They're gonna be getting a lot of healing after that, but if they're about to die, it's not gonna do much. Inner pieces, alright. Reduce the cooldown, Tranquility. Honestly, 3-minute cooldown is fine. I don't use Tranquility more often than every 3 minutes. Most of the time it's actually just sitting there off cooldown. Just waiting, in case crap hits the fan and I have to pop it. But for the most part, it's usually just sitting there. So I don't need to reduce cooldown. I'm not using it. Oh, I need to use it every 2 minutes. So, Spring Blossoms. Each target healed by Efflorescence is healed for an additional 139 over 6 seconds, which is a small heal. It's not the biggest heal. It's kind of lame. I mean, that's increased obviously by spell power and whatnot. But it's just nice because Efflorescence in general is a very decent fire and forget heal. So you can see here, yeah, all the healing that I'm getting, and that would be on everybody. So it just kind of takes, yeah. See this guy over here? Just a general, I feel better. So Spring Blossoms. The last row. I believe most people are taking Photosynthesis. Yeah, Photosynthesis or Flourish. So, Photosynthesis is very powerful. I tried it. While your life bloom is on yourself, your periodic heals heal 20% faster, which is amazing for your HOTS because it just means you're actually doing a lot more healing, a lot quicker. It's much more concentrated, much more condensed, and all you have to do is keep a life bloom on yourself, which is nice also because it's keeping you alive. So you know you've constantly got this life bloom just ticking away and keeping you up, keeping you up. You don't have to worry about yourself, and all your healers are basically more powerful than everybody else. Very powerful. While your life bloom is on an ally, your periodic heals on them have a 4% chance to cause it to bloom. So if you're keeping it on yourself, you're healing the whole group by a ton, you're doing really well, but all of a sudden your tank just starts taking a walloping, you can put life bloom on him, and not only will it heal him normally, but it'll also heal him substantially more. The problem I have with this is it's a maintenance dot. You have to make sure that you're keeping it on yourself or somebody else at all times. And once again, things that I have to actively track bother me because it's one more thing that's taking my attention that I have to devote myself to watching. Does that come up? Do I have this on? Am I doing this? And now, especially like I said, because we also have to DPS at the same time, I've got so many things going on. I don't want to have to track another thing. That's why I usually don't use it. Germination can be very powerful, but because it takes double the global cooldowns, basically, it's not worth it at all. Because by the time you actually start casting, you can apply rejuvenation twice to the same target. So after you start casting a second rejuvenation on everybody, I mean, it's a time sink, and it's not worth it. That being said, it is very powerful having 2 rejuvenations on someone. So if you're in a raid, if you're in a large raid and you are not the tank healer, germination can actually be very powerful because you're not doing rethrows, you're not doing any of that. You've got holy paladins taking care of the tanks. You've got holy priest or even disciplined priest taking care of specific people, whatnot. You're just there to generally keep the rate up. You take germination, you just double, and everybody's just getting tons of healing. And that's all you're doing. That's fine, but for the most part, not worth it. I like Flourish. I didn't used to like Flourish because, as I keep saying, I don't like having extra buttons. I like passive things. I don't like having to worry about cooldowns or this or that. But this row, you kind of had to get used to having an extra button or doing an extra thing because that's all there was. There is no fully passive, even though they say passive, they're not. They're either maintenance buffs, a double cast buff, or a cooldown. I like the cooldown because compared to the others, it's something I only have to worry about every minute and a half. So if it's not up, can't use it, don't have to worry about it. Extends the duration of all your heal over time effects on friendly targets within 60 yards by 8 seconds, and increases the rate of your heal over time effects by 100% for 8 seconds. So what's really nice about that is if you see a lot of incoming damage, or if everybody's taking a bunch of damage, everybody's down at 50-40% health, you can go, oh no, pop out a couple HOTS on a few people here and there, they're really important ones, pop your Wild Growth, and then pop Flourish, and all of a sudden you'll see everybody's health just go chunk, and chunk back up to full. So that's my answer to the Tree of Life. I don't need Tree of Life when everybody starts getting low. That's too much. I think that's way overpowering. If I'm doing plus 30s, if I'm doing hardcore progression rating, maybe. But I don't need that much healing. I need Flourish. It's a minute and a half cooldown. It's decently powerful. I can pop a bunch of stuff, hit Flourish, and 9 times out of 10 save everybody pretty easily. So those are the talents that I recommend. Um, as far as stats go, stats has been all over the place. It's been going back and forth between haste and versatility for a while now. Mastery is important. It is, but not nearly as much as haste and versatility. Crit also is not important, kind of whatsoever. The only thing crit really matters for is your affinity, whether you chose balance or cat. Crit can factor in there. But, like I said, I'm a healer. I shouldn't have to be... I'm not going to stack or invest into a stat for my DPS side of things. That being said, I actually have decently high crit. I think by accident, just on my gear. Yeah, that's fine. So versatility increases damage and healing done by a certain amount, and decreases damage taken. It's just an all-around amazing stat. It's actually become the best stat on a lot of specs. I really do enjoy versatility. That being said, haste is extremely powerful on druids. Increases attack speed, whatever. Spell casting speed, we got hots, we don't care. And energy regeneration. But what it doesn't say here is it also increases your dot ticks. So, if I put rejuvenation on someone, heals the target for so much over so much. It actually ends up healing them more because it's ticking faster, it's doing more healing. When we had corruptions, druids were just stacking haste corruptions to the moon and back. And so they would pop a heal on someone, and instead of tick, 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 it was just like tick, 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 tick. It was just heal, heal, heal. It was just tons and tons and tons of healing. Druids are very, very powerful. Now without corruptions, we can't reach those crazy haste thresholds. We can still get pretty high, but because we can't get that ridiculously high with haste, versatility has become a bit more important now. Also, the decrease in damage taken from versatility is very powerful if you're doing high mythics or progression rating. So you'll see some druids stacking versatility so they take almost no damage, and it also increases their healing, which is nice, and their damage, which is important now. Or you'll see people stacking haste. Honestly, I haven't focused on either. I've kind of just I got a pawn string that I loaded. I'm pretty sure I got it from Noxic. I'm gonna have to update it. Yeah, see, everything's pretty dang close. And I just go by that, and I kind of take gear, and I do this and that, and as you've no doubt realized from most of my videos, I am neither a pro nor a noob. I'm right in the middle. I'm in the middle lane. So stats are important, and that's kind of what they do. But I mean, at the end of the day, take what you can get. Rotation. You're a healer. You don't have a rotation. Healers are either proactive or reactive. Druids are very proactive. We put a lot of dots on people preparing for damage. So on myself, so I've got this, I've got that, and I've got this. I've got all these things ticking away, knowing I'm going to take damage. That's what you're doing on your whole group. You're just constantly keeping dots up, knowing people are going to take damage. And then if they start taking too much damage, you start putting a little bit more hots, a little bit more focus, and you use some of your other spells and abilities like Swiftmend or Cenarian Ward, as I've said. So druids are very proactive, and then they have the tools to react. Whereas someone like a Resto Shaman is very reactive. You have Riptide. which you can keep on people, but for the most part, you're very reactive. You're just sitting there as a Resto Shaman, you're casting, all of a sudden somebody takes damage, and you're like, oh, and you heal that damage up. That's a reactive healer. So, Druids are very proactive. Um, Resto Shamans are reactive. You've got a little bit of a mix in between some other classes, but you get the idea. Abilities. You have a ton of them. You're a druid. You have your standard heals, um, rejuve, regrowth, life bloom, wild growth. Um, but you also have a lot of abilities from your other forms. So we'll just go through the spell book actually. Just as a druid in general, we have Barkskin as a, and you'll see as I scroll over with my mouse, if it's on my bar, it'll start blinking. So if you're curious where it is in relation to my button setup. You have Barkskin. It's a defensive cooldown. Skin becomes tough as bark, reducing all damage you take by 20% and preventing damage from delaying your spell cast. We don't care about that, about the spell cast, because HOTS. But it's reduced damage you take by 20%. That's the main thing. So start taking a bunch of damage, pop Barkskin. Bear form, I have as an actual major defensive for me because you shapeshift and it increases your armor by 220%, stamina by 25%. Even if you haven't taken the affinity, it is still a really good defensive cooldown to just flat out shape into bear form. If a mob is all of a sudden targeting you, will not get off you, the tank is distracted, who knows what, shift into bear form. If there's a big damaging ability coming your way that you cannot avoid for one reason or another, shift into bear form. You just take a lot more hits. Remember, while in bear form, especially if you have not taken that affinity, you can't really do anything. I mean, you can throw out a couple little DPS things, but they're not going to do anything. You can't heal. You can't do anything, really. It's more just, I'm a giant bear. I can take hits. Okay, I'm okay. I'm going to go back to healing. Cat form. Increases auto attack damage and movement speed by 30%. That's the key for cat. If you've taken the feral affinity, it's actually, you're going to be in cat form a lot because you're going to be doing cat abilities and DPS and awesome. But it's the movement ability. If you're just running around caster form and all of a sudden you got to get out of something, you can pop into cat form. It's a little bit faster. Not a ton, but a little bit faster. It might make the difference between life and death. That being said, that's why we have Tiger Dash. 45-second cooldown. So you're healing, you gotta get out of something. I just hit Tiger Dash. It's almost always available when I need it. But also, like, if you're in a dungeon and you can't mount up, you can't use travel form, you can pop cat form. Try to keep up with people. Try to get to that next pack of mobs. That's Cyclone. We've got this back. That's our big CC ability. Be aware that Cyclone, making them invulnerable for up to 6 seconds. When you CC somebody with Cyclone, they can't do anything, but you can't do anything to them. Which in PvE doesn't really matter, because, I'm going to Cyclone this dude. Just stop him from casting or whatever. In PvP it does matter, because if you Cyclone somebody, you also cannot damage them, or, and the other person can't heal them. They're completely, taken out. Entangling Roots, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a root. Usually you'll almost never see a druid casting this, except for PvP. But it is nice if you see a mob and it's trying to get away or whatnot, you can just throw a root at them real quick, help out the tank. Cat ability for DPS. You do have a taunt. That's something you can do in bear form. If the tank is taking too many mobs and you want to take one of the mobs off him, you can pop into bear form and taunt it off him. And you're a bear, so you can take a couple hits from him. Help out the tank. Heart of the Wild, we went over DPS cooldown. Hibernate, you can sleep targets. That's another CC ability. That's one of your more long, harder CC abilities. So if you're trying to CC mobs, so you can only pull one or two at a time, Hibernate is your go-to. Iron Fur, again, that's a bear form ability. Makes you more tankier. So like I said, if you pop into bear form, and you can pop Iron Fur. Moonfire, that's just your general. Um, oh, I don't think we have Sunfire anymore. We used to have Sunfire as well. Hmm. Anyways, it's just a quick range DPS ability. Um, doesn't really matter as a healer unless you take the balance affinity, which I have, which we'll go over later. Uh, travel form. It sounds mount form, but travel form is amazing. It will adapt to whatever environment you're in. So we're here, we can fly here. So if I hit travel form, it turns me into a bird. I can fly. If I cannot fly, it'll turn me into a stag, and I can run really fast. If I'm in the water, it turns me into a nightmare walrus. I can swim decently fast. You can see as soon as I get out, it turns me back into a bird. Travel form is amazing. It will completely adapt to whatever situation you're in. Rebirth, we're one of the only healers, one of the only characters in the game. Death Knights, Warlocks, Shaman if they spec into it, that can res somebody in battle. We do not have to be out of combat. We can res them in combat. There's a cooldown, there's limitations, but we can do it. It's an extremely powerful tool. So if you're in a raid or whatnot, and all of a sudden, you know, the off tank goes down, you're gonna need them. Boom, you can be that Johnny on the spot and get them back up. Always be aware that you have rebirth. You need to be on it quick. Sometimes, in a serious situation, you want to wait for your raid leader. You know, he'll call because it's limited, you know, when to do it and whatnot. But especially like in Mythics, you need to just be aware of it. So you're going, you're going, you're going. Boom! Somebody drops. You need to immediately be like, oh, and get them back up because the longer they're down, the less DPS they're doing, the less tanking they're doing, the less whatever. You need to get that person up fast. Your heal, your revive is just your standard res out of combat. DPS ability for Cat, Soothe. It soothes target, dispelling all enrage effects. It's really nice. It's like tranquilizing for the hunters. Rarely will you use it, but you have it. Stampeding Roar. It's basically an AoE sprint for everybody. Shift into bear form, let loose a wild roar, increase movement speed of all friendly players within 20 yards by 60% for 8 seconds. 2-minute cooldown, but it's nice. You can move your whole entire group if you want to get them out of things, to things, what have you. Trial form, went over that. Treant form, I have this just because it looks cool. It adds 0 benefit. It used to add benefits way back in the past, but it doesn't anymore. So being in tree form does not increase your healing, does not do anything for you. It's just fun to be a tree. Wrath, another casted ability from Boomkin. Aquatic, that's trial form. So those are the standard ones. Restoration, Snarling Ward, Fluorescence, Flourish. We went over those. Innervate, infuse a friendly healer with energy, allowing them to cast spells without spending mana for 10 seconds. You're almost always casting this on yourself. Unless you're doing fine, you can help out another healer in a raid, but usually you're always casting this on yourself. Iron Bark is a defensive cooldown for anybody. Reduces damage taken by 20%. Basically a bark skin that you can put on anybody, including yourself. Life Bloom, heal. Moonkin form. Depending on what affinity you took, depends on the form. It used to be when you took balance affinity, you just could cast balance abilities and your range was farther. Now you actually have to shift into Boomkin. Wow, I haven't actually seen this version. I look crazy. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to put that on a button. Jesus. Nature's Cure. That's every healer has some version of this. Some can cure magic, some can cure poison, some can cure disease, some can cure curses, some can and multitudes of and combinations of there. And it always depends on the healer you have what they can do. Druids remove magic, curse, and poison, which is kind of nice. I kind of like that grouping. Cannot remove disease though. Heal, right? That's your return everybody to life. These are your boomkin abilities from taking the balance affinity. We're not going to go in depth onto those. Like I said, it depends on the affinity that you take. You'll have different abilities. Cat, you're going to have a lot more row, row, scratch, scratch, DPS abilities. Moonkin, you're going to have a lot more of the balance casted abilities. Sunfire, there it is. I wonder if I get Sunfire. I used to get Sunfire just standard. Swiftman, Tiger Dash, Tranquility. There's the Typhoon I said because I went balance affinity. Blast targets within 20 yards in front of you with the Violent Typhoon, knocking them back and dazing them for 6 seconds. Usable in all shapeshift forms. Really nice utility in groups and stuff. Not so much in raids, but in Mythic Plus you can get some utility out of it. I almost never use it because I don't do high keys, but it's there. Ursul's Vortex is very powerful. Conjures Vortex of wind for 10 seconds at the destination, reducing the movement speed of all enemies within 8 yards by 50% the first time an enemy attempts to leave the vortex. Winds will pull that enemy back to its center. Usable in all shapeshift forms. Sorry I'm reading everything, but I figure some people will appreciate it. Basically, you can do Ursul's Vortex, and it prevents mobs from leaving. So if you want to group them all up in an area, boom, Ursul's Vortex. So if the tank's trying to kite, people trying to get away, you're trying to get away, Ursul's Vortex. Very powerful. Wild Growth, and those are all my passives. So that's all my talents. And you can see they're somewhere located here on the bars, here and there. Yeah. Any weak or macros? Do I have any real macros for this guy? Just like the Restoration Shaman, I have a lot of my casted macros I have set to cast at my... So, like, if I'm trying to Moonfire this guy, won't Moonfire it because I don't have a focus target. Because I have a macro that's set Moonfire the focus target's target. So I will always make the tank my focus target. That way, as I cast DPS abilities, they will always go to whatever the tank is targeting. Be careful, because sometimes the tank is targeting something that he doesn't want to pull yet, but he's targeting it anyways. Be careful. But that being said, 99% of the time, you want to be DPSing whatever the tank's targeting. Like, that's a dang safe bet. So that's why I have my macros set up that way. So I don't have to worry about, what mob am I going to DPS in between healing? I can just concentrate on heal, 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 and then just throw out my spells at random because I know they're going to go to whatever the tank's targeting. I don't have to click around or do it. No, they're just going to go to whatever the tank is targeting. That macro looks something like this. Cast sequence at focus target. Don't pay attention to the reset. This is cast sequence as well. But it's the at focus target. You'd think it would be at focus target's target, but that's the shorter. That's how it's actually written out. At focus target. So whatever my focus target is targeting, my spells will go to. Like I said, it's really beneficial, so I can just... So if I make me... Well, no, I can't make me. So I can just sit there and heal, 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 and then boom, blast stuff. I'm not even looking at it. I'm over here, healing this guy, and I fire off a Moonfire, and it hits whatever the tank is tanking over here. I can't stress how powerful and important it is. It really makes life easier. Weak auras, I've got a ton, as usual. For the Druid, I've got all sorts of ones. You'll see they're all listed here. They're for every spec, not just Restoration. Restoration are these green and purple orbs here. They keep track of my hots on certain people. As I click around and off them and stuff, it's just a quick read. You can also set it to be on the actual plates and stuff like that. That's how most druids do it. I like having it this way. That way when I click on someone, I can see, oh, they've got 14 seconds of redruve left. I click on somebody else, I'm clicking around or whatever. I click on somebody else, I'm like, oh, they only have 7 seconds. I refresh that. So on and so forth. It's just a very nice way to quickly gauge as I'm clicking around. I can also see it when I'm in the party. You'll see it. Um, I also have, let's see here. Yeah, you can see the red, the combo points in the background. So when I shift into cat, I know how many combo points I have. This tells me when wild growth is up. Um, this right here is telling me that concentrated flame can be used. That's my neck essence. Um, so on and so forth. So it's a fairly simple setup. But those are some of my weak auras. So yeah, that's the druid in general. The setup, the spec, and talents and abilities and things that I use. Um, and now we'll try to put them into practice. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the balance and uh, set some stuff, some new weak auras, and rearrange my buttons a little bit since the pre-patch changed some stuff. But that's in general. That's how you can run a druid. You don't have to. Remember, this is all my opinion. But yeah. Also, I mean, come on. Oh, I gotta fix my gloves. Hold on.
Stop! Browse!
Come on. How good's my transmog? Does that not look like a cool Terran, which are pirate guys, who's also a druid? Huh? Yeah. Come on. Come on. You gotta give me credit. That's pretty awesome. All right. See you in the next video.